Welcome to this week's edition of the ATN Weekly News Roundup. I am Favor Aham, bringing you the top stories that shaped the world, Africa, and Nigeria. Beginning with the headlines. Breakthrough blood test detects over 50 types of cancer. China expels top generals in sweeping military crackdown. U.S. media lose Pentagon access over restrictive reporting rules. China seizes 60,000 mislabeled maps showing Taiwan. Zelensky revokes Odessa mayor's citizenship over alleged Russian ties. African Union suspends Madagascar following military coup. IMF lists Africa's fastest growing economies, Nigeria missing. Nigerian court halts free Nnamdi Kanu protest as U.S. issues alert. Osimhen hat-trick powers Nigeria into World Cup playoffs. The news in detail, beginning with the international news. In medical science, researchers in North America have reported encouraging results from a new blood test capable of detecting more than 50 different types of cancer. The Galleri test, developed by U.S. pharmaceutical firm Grail, was found to identify early-stage cancers in over half of diagnosed cases, including those for which no screening programs currently exist. The test works by detecting tiny fragments of tumor DNA circulating in the bloodstream, a technique experts say could transform early diagnosis and survival rates worldwide. The United Kingdom's National Health Service has already begun pilot trials to explore its integration into public health systems. Meanwhile, in Beijing, China's ruling Communist Party announced the expulsion of 9 senior military generals in what analysts described as one of the largest purges in decades. The Defense Ministry said the officers, many of them 3-star generals and members of the Central Committee, were implicated in serious financial misconduct. The timing, just before the party's upcoming plenum on economic development and leadership appointments, raised speculation that the move was as much about consolidating President Xi Jinping's control as it was about rooting out corruption. In Washington, dozens of American news organizations surrendered via Pentagon access after refusing to sign a controversial 21-page agreement tightening restrictions on defense reporting. The new guidelines issued by the Department of Defense were condemned as an attempt to muzzle the press by major outlets including the New York Times, Reuters, The Washington Post, and The Guardian. Even conservative networks such as Fox News and Newsmax declined to comply. Officials insisted the measures were meant to safeguard operational security, but press freedom advocates called it a serious threat to transparency within the U.S. military. China was also in the headlines for a different kind of enforcement. Customs officials in Shandong province seized more than 60,000 maps that allegedly mislabeled Taiwan and omitted several disputed South China Sea territories. Authorities said the maps endangered China's national unity and sovereignty, preventing them from being exported. The incident underscored Beijing's sensitivity over territorial representation as tensions continue to simmer with neighbors such as Vietnam and the Philippines over maritime boundaries. Over in Eastern Europe, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky revoked the citizenship of Odessa's long-serving mayor, Hennady Trokhanov, after reports emerged that he held dual Ukrainian and Russian passports. Trokhanov, who has governed the Black Sea port city for more than a decade, denied the allegations and vowed to challenge the decision in court. Zelensky said the move was necessary due to unresolved security issues in Odessa, signaling plans to appoint a new military administration to take control of the city's affairs. Now on to news coming on from Africa and Nigeria. The African Union this week suspended Madagascar following a military coup that removed President Andry Rajoelina from power. Colonel Michael Randrianirina, leader of the coup, declared he would assume the presidency after the Constitutional Court endorsed the takeover. Rajolina, who fled the country amid youth-led protests over corruption and economic hardship, denounced his impeachment as illegal. The AU condemned the power grab and froze the country's membership indefinitely, calling for an immediate return to constitutional order. On the economic front, the International Monetary Fund listed Benin Republic, Côte d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, Rwanda, and Uganda as Africa's fastest growing economies for 2025. Nigeria was notably absent from the list, despite showing modest improvements in gross domestic product. Abebe Selassie, head of the IMF's African department, said the report highlighted the need for structural reforms and diversification across the continent, warning that growth driven solely by commodities remained unsustainable. Nigeria's political scene grew tense as the Federal High Court in Abuja issued an injunction barring human rights activist Omoyele Sowore and others from organizing the planned October 20th Free Nnamdi Kanu protest. The order, sought by the federal government through the Nigerian police force, prohibited the demonstration within the federal capital territory. The decision coincided with a U.S. security advisory warning of possible unrest during the anniversary of the NSAS protests, urging citizens to exercise caution. Now we bring you news from sports, where Nigerian striker Victor Osimhen delivered a dazzling performance, scoring a hat-trick as the Super Eagles defeated Benin Republic by 4-0 to reach the World Cup playoffs. Despite their victory, Nigeria finished second in their qualifying group, with South Africa securing an automatic spot after defeating Rwanda by 3-0. Osimhen's brilliance, capped by an injury-time strike from Frank Onyeka, reignited optimism among fans that Nigeria could still secure a place at the 2026 World Cup through the playoff route. Now that is it on this week's Africa Today News Weekly Roundup. Join us again next weekend for the top stories shaping the world, Africa, and Nigeria. I am Favor Aham. Thank you for watching.